Favor, you're actually muted. You've been muted for some time and we've not heard anything. So, just in case you're wondering.
Wow. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we
And
can
can
hear
you
you
see me?
now, but we can't see you.
Like,
Okay, now we can see you and we can hear you.
wow, thank you so much, ma. I was almost done with the bio, thinking everything I've been saying has been ongoing. All right, thank you so much, everyone. Please use the chat box. Okay, I'll be looking at the chat box now. I can't bring everyone here live because of the restriction of the StreamYard and due to network issues also. So please, if you are listening via StreamYard, please, anytime you can't hear me, do let me know. But I think I can see it clearly now. All right, so I'm going to start again. So we are live, and like I was saying earlier, I started by saying that the speaker we're having tonight is a very great person. She's a mother indeed. She's a instrumental figure, and tonight she's going to be telling us on career. She's going to teach us on career. And this person, quickly, I'm going to read her bio so that you get to know her. She is Mrs. Adugo. Dubem Udeogo, and she is the founder of the Purple 360, a boutique empowering entry level professionals as they transition from academia to the workplace with a focus on career development, workplace readiness, and gender advocacy. Mrs. Adugo has built Purple 360 to a trusted platform for young professionals seeking to thrive in competitive job markets. Mrs. Adugo brings a wealth of experience in women economic empowerment, project management, partnership management, and SME legal structure setup. Over the years, she has worked with organizations like Therapy Corporate Solutions and Borderless Trade Network, driving strategic initiatives that promote professional growth and economic inclusion. As a passionate career development advisor, Mrs. Adogo is committed to equipping young professionals with the tools, strategies, and confidence they need to excel in their careers. Our vision for Purple 360 is to create a future where every professional is equipped to succeed and contribute meaningfully in the workplace. Let's join me as we make welcome Mrs. Adugo. And please, your virtual round of applause is appreciated. Thank you so much. Welcome, and thank you so much for deciding to have this tonight. We really appreciate you, and the
Thank
floor is
you.
yours now, ma. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you so much, Favor, and thank you to everyone in the MGG community. Um, I think that the first place I would want to start from is I owe you guys an apology because this session was slated for Tuesday, but due to some issues in my calendar, I don't think that I was able to meet up with Tuesday's session, and I'm deeply, deeply honored to be here this evening and to be speaking with you guys. It's a passion of mine that I love to, as many opportunities as I get to interact with undergraduates and fresh graduates, core members, basically people who are starting out their careers or who are just figuring out stuff with their career. I'm always, always honored when I get to speak with you because you're right at the nick of where you're flexible enough to do the right thing in building your career right. And I feel like I have a thing or two that I can help you with in that regard. So, that being said, I'd love for this to be as interactive as possible. So, I can only see Samuel Daniel here, but if I could get like an interactive um I could have you guys interact with me, ask questions, answer questions when I ask them. What it will do is it's also going to help us to channel tonight's conversation to be relevant to the people who are on this live session and to be relevant to those who would really need it. So, that being said, and understanding that I you have accepted my apology and we're now good, let's go into tonight's conversation. So, um, the organizing team at MGG have asked me to speak on exploring career path and finding your passion in the modern workforce. As I'm going to try to deconstruct this topic and piece it apart and hopefully help us to make sense of it. It looks too lengthy. It could almost throw the average career person, students who is navigating the work, building their career path, it would almost throw you off balance. So let me break it down and then let's get into the nick of things. So let's talk about exploring career path and finding your passion to begin with. So what is exploring career path? Part of my conversation is going to also be a bit about my own story because I'm not going to tell you things that I didn't do or things that are not practical to me. I'm going to be telling you, feeding off a lot of my own story. So, um, early on when I started my career, I want to refer back to starting out my degree program. I'm one of those people who their parents wanted to decide for them or even decided for them what they would study. So my dad is a lawyer and he was very, very vehement on his daughter being a lawyer. And he wanted me to inherit the chambers and to run the law firm. So before I could say Jack, my dad wanted me to study law. I, on the other hand, as much as I admired the legal profession, I think I had more of a flair for communication. And now looking back, I'm not sure if it was that I had a flair for communication as such as maybe I was just scared generally of the legal profession. So I started writing jam. I wrote my first jam. I scored really great, did great, but the Nigerian system happened and I didn't get that admission. But that story would lead to many other years of writing jam and not getting admission. Just in case you are on this call and you probably spent a lot of time at home before getting your degree admission, I want you to understand that you're not alone in this and you're not experiencing something that anybody else has not experienced because I did experience that. So I spent roughly about 7 years before I got my degree admission. And because of that, I come to refer to myself as a late bloomer. By the time I was getting my degree admission, this meant that I wasn't doing it with my peers. And eventually, I did the law, but I did it at a diploma level. And after I got my diploma certificate, I had my degree admission sometime in 2015. And I started my degree program in communication, which is what I said I had a flair for to begin with. But because I realized that the people who were in my class were not my peers, it put pressure on me to understand that for me to I could not just afford to be good at what I did. I had to be great. I had to excel and be excellent. And being excellent because of the years of experience that I had gathered. Mind you, even though I was writing jam but not getting in. That I didn't allow that to stop me from building my career. So I was doing a couple of other things by the side while so those things helped me to get experience. I'm trying as much as possible to cut out the parts of this story that is not necessary so that we can focus on what's important and you get the message. So I decided early enough that I needed to excel in my career and I needed to put in twice as much effort as the guys who were in my set in order for me to excel in my career. So what I did was I started figuring out my career early enough. So by the time I was in like my second year in the university, we needed to go do our internship, and we went out of we had to um go out of school. You know how you do internship if you're in a profession that asks you, or in a course, if you're studying a course that requires you to do internship, you know that that typically means you have to go out, apply for jobs and get a job, and work in an actual workspace. So I did that just like anybody else, and what I realized was what we were studying in school and what was in demand in the workforce were complete opposites. They were completely different. So I was studying communication, and I applied to a PR firm, I applied to a digital marketing company, and then eventually applied to an edutech online company. And I realized I was designated to the digital marketing space because of my background in communication, but I realized that everything I learned in school was highly irrelevant in this space, and that caused me to be frustrated. As I was frustrated, my employer was even all the more, I was embarrassed and frustrated, but my employer was all more embarrassed and much more frustrated than I was, because in his opinion, he was employing me to get a job done, to be a solution provider for him, and not an additional problem. And that's going to be my first point here. I'm going to be addressing mindset. As a student and undergraduate, I realized that a lot of students go into the workforce thinking that the employer is going to show them what to do. And your employer is hiring you on the belief that you already know what to do, that you're coming in to bring solution to the table and not to compound or complicate problems. So the first thing you have to deal with your mindset is not that I'm going to be a graduate and I'm going to make a lot of money, I'll start working, I'll start earning, but is for you to ask yourself, what value do I bring to the table? What solution do I bring to the table? And that is something you have to figure out early on. Excuse me. Excuse me, please. Sorry, I need to reschedule another meeting just so that I can maximize this time that I have with you guys. So please bear with me. Let me quickly reschedule the meeting. All right, I'm back here. Please confirm that you can hear me so that I'll go on. Okay, if you can hear me, just say yes, 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 so that I can continue. Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you, Samuel. All right, let's continue. So, um, I was talking about bringing value to the table. Don't just think that anybody would offer you money because you're a graduate. Honestly, I have never had to tender my certificate to anybody. Nobody has ever asked to see that piece of paper. What they want to know is, can you deliver on the job? Do you bring solutions? Are you solving any problem for me? And if you are, people are very, very happy to um, exchange money for the value or the solution that you bring to the table. So, with that being said, let's talk about how can you figure out what solution to bring to the table, which is exploring the exploring career path and finding your passion. So the first thing I say is identify your destination. Knowing your career goals before setting off, you need to define where you're headed. To discover your career or to discover your dream career, you need to figure out where you're headed. And these are a few questions that can ask. If you can answer these questions, you would be on very well on your path to exploring and finding your passion. The first question is, what are you good at? Everyone is good at something, and for me, I found out very early enough that that thing for me was writing. I loved literature. I loved to read literature. I loved to write. So I loved reading. As when I was in primary five, I read Romeo and Juliet, not because of the love story, but because of the intelligence that went into the twists and the plot twist. I didn't even know Romeo and Juliet was a cliche love story, no. But I read it with that innocence of not knowing what it was, and I was intrigued by the intelligence, the twist, the plot twist, and everything. And I was still in primary five. I read a couple of other books like that, and I realized that I loved stories, I loved reading literature, and I loved writing some myself. So while I was still in primary school, I wrote a couple of books, and yeah, it was books, but at that time, I didn't know, and I didn't have the right guidance to know that this is actually a big deal. Maybe if my parents had the current or modern parenting techniques that exist these days, I may have explored and harnessed that skill set a lot better than I did, or way earlier than I eventually did. So I love writing. I'm saying this, and I'm referring to how way back that it goes, just so that it will trigger you to go back in time and think about, as a little child, as a as a as someone who was not thinking about work in that sense of something that brought money, but just thinking about the things that you love to spend your time doing. What were those things that you gravitate towards, that you just found that you are good at, that you just find that it comes to you natural. Some of the mistakes that we make is that because something comes to you natural, you think that it comes natural to everyone. It doesn't. The fact that it comes natural to you does not mean that it happens that way for everyone. I was guilty of this, so I know. So am a naturally good speaker, and I also write. Words flow easily to me and for me. So I had the tendency of thinking that because it was that way for me, that it was that way for everyone. But soon enough, I realized that the fact that it came natural to me does not mean it comes natural to everyone. So think about it. What are you good at? And when you're answering this question, do not dismiss even the most mundane thing. Just as in, be as vast and as versatile as possible. Answer it to as many extremes as you can. What is it that you're good at? What are your natural skills, your natural talents, and your natural abilities? When you've been able to answer that first question, the second question that you need to give your attention to is, what do you love? Sometimes you're good at something, but does not necessarily mean that you love that thing. For example, when I was in secondary school, I argued a lot. I would probe and question your reasoning or the reasoning behind anything. You wouldn't just tell me wear long skirt, wear short skirt, wear white socks, wear black shoe. I was that kid that would ask you questions till your brain smoke. And because of that, a lot of people thought I would be a lawyer, particularly when they now found out that my dad was a lawyer. Oh my God, you could not tell my secondary school mates and my teachers back then. Everybody, I was that person that was voted the most to be a lawyer. But you see, deep down within me, I still wouldn't say that I have a flair to be a lawyer. I might eventually study law, but just because I realize that it is important for you to be armed with that knowledge for you to access certain corridors, and not because I want to argue before any judge or to go to courts and, practice law in that sense. So you have to know what is it that you love. Is one thing to be skilled at another thing, but this one has more to do with your passion and your interest. While I wasn't very passionate or interested in being a lawyer, I was interested and passionate about gender issues. I'm very, very passionate. Anybody that knows me so well knows that I'm passionate about women. I'm passionate about women empowerment. I'm passionate about women marginalization, women's rights. And very, very early in my life, I discovered that passion. I discovered that anything that had to do with gender had a way of ticking me off or had a way of pulling my interest. So, what are you skilled at and what do you love? What are you passionate about? So, I was skilled in writing, I was a skilled speaker, and I loved women. I loved women's rights. I loved empowering women generally. It doesn't matter in what sense, as long as women get empowered, you find me there. Most likely find me there. So when you've been able to answer, mind you, the first question is what are you good at, which deals with your skills and your talents. The second question is what do you love. Then the third question is what pays well. Now, this is going to revolve around opportunities that provide financial sustainability. So ask yourself, first of all, what am I good at? What do I love? And what pays well? Where are the opportunities that provide financial sustainability as far as these three questions are concerned? Now, I don't know how many people did mathematics. I don't know how many people did mathematics while they were in school, right? Um, if you did, you will have Venn diagram. Venn diagram. That's that circle thing. That's so you have three circles. If you were to put this in a Venn diagram, sorry, I don't have a board here, so I'm just going to try to work with what I have. So let me see if I can put this down, what I've said in a Venn diagram, and then I'll show you guys what a Venn diagram looks like so that you have a visual representation of what I'm speaking about. So there'll be one circle, a second circle, and then a third circle. So can you see this? So this is what, forgive my drawing skills, but this is what a Venn diagram looks like. So in one part of this circle, can you guys still see me and hear me? Please confirm. Okay, I think you can. So in one circle, let's say in this circle now, you would have what are you good at in this circle, right? And then you would list out the things that you're good at in this circle. In this second circle, you're going to have what do you love. So this is where you're going to talk about your passions and your interests. In this other circle, you're going to be talking about your skills and your talents. But here, you're going to be talking about your passions and your interests. Here, you're going to be talking about what pays you well, opportunities that provide financial sustainability. Now, I had to talk about this circle because I want to talk about this spot here. Let me see it. This spot here. That is the spot where the three circles intersect. So when you're drawing your Venn diagram, there is a spot where the circles intersect. Now, I'm not talking about where two circles intersect, I'm talking about where all three circles intersect. Now, this spot where all three circles intersect would refer to a skill or talent that you're good at, that intersects with a passion, that you can use to work on a passion that you love, or an interest, an area you're interested in, that pays you well. Once you've been able to find this sweet spot, that is your career path. It's simple. It's really that simple. Find something that you're good at, that you love, that you can use to work on something that you love or a passion that you're interested in, and that pays well. Anything that you're good at, that you love, that does not pay well is just a hobby. Anything that you're good at and that pays you well, but you don't love, you will eventually get bored, upset, and irritated at. That's why you see a lot of people show up for jobs that pay well and they are really good at, but they have zero interest in, and they end up either being depressed, being overwhelmed, being feeling like the work is saddling them with responsibilities that they would much rather not give their attention to. So you have to figure out what is it that you're good at, that you love, and that will pay you well. Once you've been able to find the intersection of these three, then that's where your career path begins. So I'm going to pause here to mention that at Purple 360, we guide students through a tailored elimination and assessment process to help you reflect honestly on these questions. So, for example, if you excel at problem solving and love technology but lack financial opportunities, or the financial opportunities seems limitless, our process helps you identify pathways to make the most in fulfilling and finding lucrative ways or lucrative opportunities. So when you hit us up, or when you reach out to us at Purple 360, we help you to align your talents, your interests, and financial goals to give you clarity to take the first step forward for career readiness. So I'm going to pause here and allow you to ask questions so that I can go to step two. So if you notice, we've been able to explore career path and help you find passion. So I know that I have roughly about 4 minutes to go. So let me allow you ask questions before I go into the next phase of this conversation.
All right. Thank you so much, Ma. Thank you very, very much. Like,
Yeah, we can't
like
see you, but we can
personally,
hear you.
have really been blessed. But then I think I'll give the participant the platform. So if you have question, I'll just bring each of you on stage. I'll start with Deborah. So I'll bring you live. Like I'll bring you on stage so that participants can stay at the same time. So you can ask your question as regards your career. You'll be listening to her. In fact, that Venn diagram um, part she just used. Okay, okay. I guess I don't know what the plan is, but if you don't feel like turning on your camera, it's fine. You can use your audio. Yes, you can use audio. So please just kindly I'm bringing you on stage right now. From Deborah, I'll just take turns so that we can be fast. So I'll ask you questions now, then she can continue. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mama. Like personally, using those three parts, using that diagram, the Venn diagram, it's something that I can't forget, and I believe others too won't forget. So, who will I start with now? Okay, I've called on Deborah. Deborah, then we'll go to Samuel, then we'll take Emmanuel. So please, your question as regards, you're already in a career path. You're pursuing something that you have. This is the best opportunity you will have to ask those questions and have them answered.
But from what
All right. Um, Debbie, I
Ma,
hope you
can you hear
can
me?
hear me now. Your life, yeah, I can hear you. So I think you can go on now.
Okay, ma, thank you, ma. The question I have is, um, I finished from our Tripoli OND this year. I studied science laboratory technology,
Sorry, you
and
said what?
I finished from our Tripoli OND. I studied science laboratory technology. That's SLT.
Okay, I didn't get the second part, but go ahead.
I said I studied SLT from our Tripoli
Okay,
OND.
okay,
Yeah. So and I have passion for okay. I have an hobby which is writing. I write. I'm a writer. I do spoken
okay,
word piece also. But
okay.
growing up, like right from when I was in SS2, I had this passion for counseling,
Mm-hmm,
just talking to people, reaching out to people, helping them in any way I can, even with my writing. So that's something I have passion for. But
mm-hmm,
um, okay, I have thought of doing direct entry into university
mm-hmm.
and studying a higher course, which is probably medical laboratory science.
Okay,
But sincerely speaking, I don't really have interest in any medical stuff. I know that
okay,
okay. I just used to say that no matter what I study, the goal is counseling.
okay,
But my parents was like, they were like, I should study something that will bring me money. That in Nigeria, where you see people that want to go for counseling or therapy session or stuff like that. I get what they're
mm-hmm,
trying to say, but truthfully, even the direct entry I'm planning to do, looking for courses that I know that will be related and I can just relate with and be happy with. But truthfully speaking, if I should go really deep into medical course, I don't think I will really be happy. But it seems like what I have in mind to do will not bring me money, or that's what they said. Yeah. So I don't like. It has been a struggle for me, like thinking about it, because next year is already here, and if I'm doing the ethics, I should know what I want to do with my life. So that's it. Thank
okay,
you. Ma.
okay, Deborah. I think the first thing is our parents always tell us these things that they tell us from a place of love, but it's not always from a place of knowledge. And nobody's going to do your homework for you. So I'm going to give you a homework and I'm going to ask you. You say you want to do something that has to do with counseling. You have a flair for counseling. You want to help people. So, what aspects of counseling? And who are the top five or top 10 counselors you know in Nigeria? One, who are the top five or top 10 counselors that you know globally? Two. So I want you to go and answer these two questions. When you've been able to answer this question, it will help you trace their background. If someone says that they are a counselor and you've been able to find them out, then you begin to look at what was their career path, what did they study, where did they study what they studied, and then I need to help break somebody's limitation right now. The generation that our parents existed and the generation that they grew up in is not this generation. The problems that were peculiar to their generation is is the kind of problems that they think that we are still solving in today's world. But if somebody had talked about generative AI to say some 10 years back, some 15 years back, one parent in Nigeria somewhere would have said that's not a career path. But look at it today. It is literally the future of anything, everything in the world. So I don't think that I mean relate with your parents from a place of love, but do your homework, do your own research, and be very clear on what it is that you're trying to solve or what career path you're trying to go into. And don't just I don't know how old you are, Deborah, but are you up to 25? Are you? Are you up to 25? If you can, just let me know. Okay, Deborah has gone off. I would have loved to know if you're up to 25, because if you're up to 25, then you need to really really zero in on what it is that you want to do with yourself and start working on it. Now, peradventure you're not, and I don't think it's something that should be so hard to figure out. Once you've been able to answer these three questions, and then you find, okay, I want to go, and you're clear on the fact that you have you have an interest in counseling, you think that you are able to think analytically and critically and logically when it comes to helping people figure out their problems and provide solutions for them, then you can now answer the question, who are the top 5 counselors or top 10 counselors? Deborah, you have a lot of time on your hands. I wish I was sitting in a conversation like this at your age, but you have a lot of time in your hands. So ask yourself, there's really nothing you will study at this age that will throw you off balance on your career path. If you study anything right now in the university, you can always go back and study another thing that you love. Trust me. If you study something now, you can always go back and study another thing. But ask yourself, who are the top 5 counselors in Nigeria and who are the top 5 counselors globally? And then what did they do to get to where they are? What are the things that they studied? What's their career background in? And you can start doing a technique that we call a mirroring pattern. So what the mirror pattern suggests is that you're mirroring your life against what the other person has done or against what the other person is doing, and that will help you to build the way they have built. But I think one of the things I'll say to you guys above all things is be prayerful, because when you're prayerful, what what that does is going to put an interest. God's going to put a desire and put a leading to you, that and put a leading that will guide you along the pathway that is for your life, and you're not just roaming around and just gliding through other people's choices for you. So I think that that answers that question. If you have a follow up, please let me know. Um, I can see that Samuel says he has no questions. Emmanuel says no questions. All right, that's fine. I think we can move on from here. So the next thing I'm going to tell you to do is, once you've answered these 3 questions and you're well within your career path, then you need to build foundational and workplace proficiency skill. There are different skill sets that are required for you to be productive in the modern workforce. So, finding your career path and figuring out your passion is one arm. But for you to thrive in the modern workforce, there are core skill sets that is required for you. And for you, if you are able to learn this skill set early enough, what it will do for you is you will go into the workforce armed with knowledge, with information, and with value to bring to the table. And a person who brings a lot of value to the table can name their price, basically. So I'm going to say to you, there's a huge gap between what is taught in school and what is needed in the workplace. So I learned this after, I told you, during my internship. I quickly realized that much of my academic knowledge wasn't directly applicable in the professional world. So for me to thrive, I had to focus on learning, excuse me, I had to focus on learning how things actually worked in the workplace. And some of this proficiency skill is effective communication, critical thinking, time management, teamwork and collaboration, amongst many other things. You need to learn how to use certain softwares, tool kits, and all of that. And without this, adjusting and excelling in any workplace can feel overwhelming. If you don't have the right skill set and you just think that what you learned in school is what you is how you're just going to graduate from school and get into the workforce, you're going to be frustrated and you feel overwhelmed because you are coming into the workplace not ready. I see this with a lot of graduates. I emphasize hands-on training and workshop so that graduates can become workplace ready. Another thing that would help you to be workplace ready is map out a learning path. For example, I'm going to use Debbie now. Debbie says, I want to be a counselor. And what you're going to look at is go when you find these five people who you admire in your field, now go back and look at what has been their background and how did they get to where they are, what are their qualifications, what did they study, and help yourself by studying everything that they study, doing everything that they've done. That's what's going to get you to that career path. What are the technical skills that you need to learn? What are the certifications or specific experiences that you need to have? Once you've done that, enroll in relevant courses, pursue internship, volunteer in roles. So if you know I want to be a counselor, there's no point you um working in a fast food, for example, for quick money. You should volunteer and walk along the path that is in line with your career path, that is in line with the career path that you know that you want to build around. And that's why figuring out your career path early enough is important. I'm going to round up with this last point. One of the reasons I founded Purple 360 is to help young graduates, students, undergraduates figure out their career path and also provide trainings and support. Excuse me, provide trainings and support to help you excel in the workforce. So, for people who are part of the MGG community, I'm going to be giving you 1 hour free session, career discovery session. So we're going to have like a one-on-one career discovery session, free, for people who come from the MGG community. And what we're going to be doing is you and I are going to sit in a meeting and we're going to figure out your career path together one on one. So if you're interested in taking advantage of this opportunity, I typically charge for sessions of this nature because it's my job. I'm a career advisor. So, but if you're serious about this and you want to take advantage of this, reach out to Coach Favor, and we would work out a plan on how to on us having this session together. But it's free and it's only free for people who are part of this community. I dare say that it's only free for people who attended this session. So I've taken note of just 3 people. I don't know if there are more people who attended this session, but yeah, reach out to Favor and we will set up that meeting. So that's with that, I think I have come to the end of my session. I want to thank you guys very much. If you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat box, or um, you can send the questions to Favor. Favor would reach out to me and I'll be very happy to answer your questions. Thank you very much. Favor, over to you.
All right, thank you so much, Ma. Thank you very much. Thank you so much, Mara, for this insightful session. But however, I think some person want to ask live, so I would allow them. If I would call on you and you would want to go in quickly, the rest of us, I believe you can come in. I think Deborah have asked. Okay, who want to ask? Esosa, I don't know, but you're from YouTube. I can add you. I'm using StreamYard. Okay,
You
so
can just ask in the chat box. It's fine.
yeah,
Esosa or 10, that's SA10. You can just put your question in the
yeah.
chat box
Okay,
in
so you can
YouTube.
ask your question through the chat box. Then I think I'm going to bring yeah, exactly, essay. So I think I'll just allow one person to come up. Maybe it would ask live. So let's take a guy and a girl. Cause I said two persons earlier. So I think I'll call on okay, let me call on Samuel Daniel. So if you have a question, I'm going to bring you live right now to just ask her. Okay, so I think yes, you are live. You can go ahead. with your question. Okay, so Mr. Samuel, you can go ahead now with your question. Please unmute your mic so we can hear you. Hello, Mr. Samuel, can you hear us? Can you hear me?
And favor
Okay,
is also
anyway,
fine if they don't have questions. If people don't have questions, it's also fine. Um, Unless he says he has a question, I think it's fine if they don't have questions.
okay, ma.
So that we are not trying to pull them in. Essay who had highlighted. I'm just waiting to see if can type in their question. I, okay. I was told that passion differs from career, but I'm confused about this. Um, there is passion, and then there you can make a career out of your passion. It's really not too far apart. Passions are things that you are interested in. For example, I made mention of the fact that I have a huge interest in women empowerment, anything that has to do generally with women empowerment, you find me there. And I discovered this passion because I found myself drawn a lot to feminism conversations, things that have to do with women's rights, women marginalization. Very early enough, I learned about female genital mutilation, and it pained me more than it pained other people, and that's because I am drawn to issues that have to do with women. So that interests finds expression in different areas. For example, you'll find me in women's ministry a lot. You'll find that I am drawn to anything that has to do with women. You would also find that in my career, I work for women empowerment organizations, women empowerment groups, women empowerment agencies. I find a way to give back to the women community in anything that I do, even when it is not directly related to women. I find myself finding a way to give back to women community. So your passion, which deals more with your interest, is not too far apart from your career. You can make a career out of your passion. I find people who are passionate or interested in music and they make a career out of it. So it's not too far apart. It is important that your career is in things that have your interest. um Building a career outside of your passion is like marrying someone you are not in love with, or marrying somebody you're not attracted to. The person might be a great person, you might be a great person, but you find that the both of you will be frustrated in the marriage just because the both of you are have zero attraction or interest in each other. But when you find something that you're passionate about in the career that you build, is like marriage made in heaven, because you'll find that you would always love waking up every morning and going to work or doing stuff that you love. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so
Okay, so
much.
she has a follow-up question. She said, I'm asking for my sister. She says she doesn't know how to put her passion and her career in a balanced place. So this sounds like a very specific problem, and that's why I offered the one-on-one sessions just for people in the community. I hope that your sister is a part of this community. So if she is, ask her to reach out to Favor and let's have a one-on-one conversation, then we can navigate together. This is why career advisors are important, career development advisors are important. The work that we do as career advisors is to help you figure out and navigate this path and help you to build a balanced career so that you're hitting the ground running when you're building your career.
Wow, thank you so much, Mama. Thank you very, very much. Thank you
So
for giving a top-notch delivery. In fact, like I noticed that a lot of persons stayed when they joined, they just stayed to the end because they've getting so much value. Thank you so much, Ma. So I want to be sure for those you are giving this consultation, is it like for every other person? Because a lot of persons will later come on to watch the replay, the recording
okay.
rather,
Mhm.
or just on the live alone.
Okay, so I'm giving it to people who are coming from your community. So let's have a conversation so we can um, draw out a schedule, a meeting schedule about how it's going to work. So if the number becomes too much, we'll have to give it for a timeline. Most preferably is going to be for people who watch the recording between now and the first week of January, they can have access to that consultation for free. But anybody who watches the session from the second week of January and above would have to pay at least 50% of the consultancy fee. So if they are watching the session between now and the first week of January, they get the access completely free. So you can have a one on one session for free.
Wow, this is massive. Like you guys should be jubilating. I those of you in the using StreamYard, I can't see your response. You should be happy. This is like if you know what this course and you are having going to be having it for free just because we're part of this program. Like thank you so much, Mama. God bless you. Thank you so much. And as you can see, she is a multi-influential person, and yet she's giving top-notch deliveries. Thank you so much, Mama. We're really grateful. Thank you so much. Please let's send in our thanks. Please put up your thank you messages and all of that. Thank you so much, Mama. Although I would want to ask a question that I feel like may affect some persons, especially those persons who are undergraduates or and I because I believe it kind of is something that has been coming up and
Mhm.
maybe this will just help. So I will just put the question this way. So I'll create a scenario. I've seen some persons who have, though you've done justice to that, but for clarity for on the other end, I've gotten to see people who actually want to do something. Let's say they want to study
Fibo, I've lost you there for a bit. I can't hear you what you're saying. Maybe it's your network.
of which you told us that they have the opportunity, yes, to go back and study. But considering the fact that
Fibo, I can't hear you. I've lost you again. So you might want to check your network.
oh, I was lost. Wow.
Yeah, I didn't get the question you were trying to ask. So maybe you may need to start again so that I don't miss
Okay,
out on important parts. Yeah.
okay, so I'll just be brief with it. So it's just like saying we have some persons who may have a certain career path, but one of the things they consider is, oh, even if we may have the opportunity to go back to study, some of them are like, well, we are studying this course because afterwards we have younger persons to take care of to train in school. That's one. Secondly, some persons may not want to go back to their career path or their what they really want to do because they feel like age is no longer on their side. For the ladies, they may want to settle down. They just think so. How do you advise that they screw up all of those things and face reality? Or do you a lot of times they'll be like, oh, I think I'm ready to hold, I don't think I can do this, maybe my children will do it, but deep down they keep seeing the stigma that, oh, they are pain of not doing what they actually wanted to do, or because maybe they consider the age or the time and the fact that they have to start working based on, or maybe they are seniors in their home and they have to take care of the younger ones. And then thirdly, why some persons may also even get what they want while in school, they at the end of the day find themselves being thrown in between. Should they start schooling again? Maybe let's say they are doing a 6 years or 5 years course and they're already in their third year. They're like their parents are going to kill them, because I've got some messages like that and really, really demanding from this student trying to come back again. They say cases like, or their parents may ask them to take care of their schooling themselves because they wasted years of them schooling. So these are the three questions. I just thought to put them all in one. Thank you so much, Ma.
Okay. You've asked quite a lot of questions, and you say you're putting them all in one. So I'm going to try to, as much as possible, because each case is unique. You really can't put a blanket case to how you deal with certain things, and that's why, as advisors, we try to deal with people on an individual basis. But I mean, I'm going to try to address these issues that you've raised specifically. Personally, I do not advise, and I don't agree with people going to school because they want to pick up responsibilities of training their younger ones. The first question that comes to my mind is, where's your parents? Why are you training your younger ones if you have parents? You're just a child yourself, so you shouldn't be put in that position where you're under a lot of pressure to train your younger ones. It's an African mindset, I get it, but it's a mindset that I push back on a lot. And I think that we should begin to question these things a lot. You're not assistant parent, you are just a sibling, just a child in the family, just like any other child. And you shouldn't be put in that position where you are asked to raise your younger ones. That's not your job. And it might sound selfish, it might sound like not what you want to hear, but that's the reality, and nobody should put anybody in that position. However, if you find yourself in a position where your siblings rely on you and you have dependents and you have to study, again, I refer back to career advisors. We're going to sit down and plot your career path and your career journey with you and help you to stay on the course. So even though you're working, there are programs that allow you to pivot. And by pivot, it means um, just taking a different turn to building the career that you want for yourself while you're still working. So what you can do is look for an entry level point into the career path that you want. So for example, if you want to work in the media space but you studied botany science, for instance, we look for what are the low entry points in the media space that you can start from. So when you start from there, then we now look at what are courses or certifications that you can begin to take that would help, excuse me, that will help you to become better qualified to be to better qualified for bigger and better opportunities in that space. So that's one way that we help you to navigate these peculiar issues. And I say to people, women, don't throw your dreams away on the bed of I want to be married. Decide while you are yet single. See, marriage is not an achievement, and marriage is not a reward. Marriage is work. So make sure that whoever it is that you're married to is somebody, or whoever it is that you want to be married to is somebody who is committed to building you up, and not somebody who is telling you that all that there is to you is to become a wife and a mother. You are made for much more. You can be much more. You should be much more. So you should stop sacrificing your dreams, your goals, and your ambition on the altar of marriage, on the altar of I want to be a wife. Being a wife is a good thing, but that's not all that there is to you. You can be more, and you don't have to be less of this to become more of that. You don't have to be less of a career woman. You don't have to be less of a businesswoman, assuming you have interest in business. You don't have to be less of a mom. You shouldn't have to choose. And we're in a world where there are now support systems that help you to not choose one or the other. You can be anything that you want to be. That being said, you are never too old to pursue the dreams and the goals that comes into your heart. I'm going to use myself again as an example. I didn't go to school at the age, or I didn't had do my degree at the age that my peers were doing theirs. For context sake, I finished my secondary school in the year 2008, and I got my degree admission in the year 2015. That was a whooping 7 years gap. And the 7 years gap did not mean that I stopped growing or I stopped aging. I was aging. But look at me today. I finished my degree in a course that I love, and I'm working in fields that I want. And if for any reason I feel like I want to go back to school today, I will go back. I've mentioned to you guys that I think I'll still go back and study law. I want to do my MBA. After my MBA, I think that the next thing I want to do is to study law, just because I want to study it and not because anybody is forcing me or making me want to study it. So you are never too old. I know a lot of women. We have Reverend Funke Felix Adejumo. She went back to school and she's studying law. She's within her 60s, if I'm not mistaken, and she's studying law. You are not, nobody on this call is older than Reverend Funke, and she's studying law. And there are lots of women like that. Many women, check, who are going back to school to study the things that they really want to study. All it takes is for you to have the right career coach, the right career advisor by your side that will help you to map out the pathway for you. If you ever think that, don't weigh your spirit down, be depressed, or then try to now live out your dreams through your children. They are not there for you to live out your dreams through. You are alive, live your dreams by yourself. Don't try to live it out through them. So explore your career path, explore any passion and interest that comes to your mind. You may not necessarily have to even go back to school. You may have to just take a certification, do a course, do a training. So that's why a career advisor is important. They sit down with you and show you what's the best way to penetrate a system or to penetrate an industry. So going back to school might be part of it, but it's not all the time that you have to go back and study a specific course because you have an interest in working in that space. So that's how I'm going to answer this. Again, there are no blankets, there's no blanket response to these issues. Sometimes you have to sit down, we have to sit down with you and listen to you individually. And that's why I've given out that offer. I'll listen to you individually and provide tailor-made solutions on a need and individual unique basis. I hope that this helps.
All right, thank you so much, Mama. Thank you very, very much. Please, one more question. While you were speaking, I think that crossed my mind. Now, speaking on the part of let's use Christianity. I've had people, or not just did I hear, I had an instance where someone told me that she felt that by the leading of God, that she was to leave medicine and go for marine engineering, and it was really a big time in our family because she had gained the admission, she was already in school. And so how do we advise as a career advisor that people handle this kind of situation when
Um,
the network
so,
is
Favor, I've
fluctuating right
lost you
now?
there again. I'm assuming that you're asking that how would such a person handle such a problem? Studying medicine and maritime engineering. These are two really.
Okay, so um I hope my can you hear me? Please, if you can hear me,
Yes, I
just
can hear
comment you
you
can
now.
hear me.
I can hear you now.
Hello, can you hear me, people?
I can hear you, Favor.
Okay, so yeah, and I was asking like this person, so it was a big conflict then. And at the end of the day, yes, she's in the marine engineering currently, but then I believe that maybe some persons may have these issues where they feel that through the leading of God, they some persons may be mistaken, while some may be right. But how would you advise as a career advisor that people handle this kind of situation when the fact that God is telling them to do this, why they actually want to maybe to do B when they actually want to do A, or just things like that.
Okay. So as a God person myself, I would definitely defer to what God is leading me to do. A lot of the things that I've even done in my career have been things that the Holy Spirit has inspired me to do. So anybody who is getting a leading from God, I would say definitely follow what God is leading you to do. However, I would say that be very sure that God is leading you. Be clear in your spirit. I'm not going to teach you how God speaks to you or how God leads you, but always be clear that God is indeed speaking to you or God is indeed directing you. But as a believer, one of the things that the Bible says is that He causes all things to work together for your good. So nothing goes out of order, nothing goes out of place in your life. You really can't miss the mark as long as you're God's child. So if God is leading you to study a particular course or to pivot into a particular career path, He's also going to show you how to do it. He's going to instruct you, He's going to tell you step by steps that you're going to take to get into that career path. And he's not the author of confusion. If I were to be in that lady's shoes, I would ask her that I'll tell her that the God who spoke to you and told you that this is your career path, speak to him and ask him how to navigate the situation with your parents, and more importantly, how to bring them on board, because they are really the ones paying for this thing. They're the ones paying for this. So you cannot just throw it to them that after how many years of being in medical school that you're now going to study maritime engineering and there's nothing they can do about it. Except of course God is the one who is speaking to them and God is bringing them on board these things. You just can't throw or load this kind of thing over them. Again, there is still a place for you to insist on what it is that you know that you want to do. For instance, my dad wanted me to study law. He was very keen on it, but I insisted and I was very clear on what it is that I wanted to study, and I was very clear on drawing the boundaries on being going for what it is that I wanted. But what I don't think that if I had gotten an admission to study law, that I wouldn't have done it. I think that I would have still gone ahead to study the law, but build my career in the media space or in any other part that interests me, maybe not necessarily law. So yeah, I'll say to that person, if God is leading you, follow the leading of God, but be sure that God is leading you. Be very clear that God is leading you. And if you know how God speaks to you, then that's okay. Follow the leading of God. All right, Fivo, over to you. Hi, Fivo, are you on the call? Can everyone still hear me? Just to be sure that you guys can still hear and see me. I'm waiting for Fivo. Okay. Okay, thank you very much, Emmanuel. So I think that maybe we lost Favor there for a bit. Let's give her some time to maybe reconnect and join the call. All right. So we'll give her some minutes to reconnect and join the call so that the session can continue.
All right, thank you so much, ma. Sorry about that. My network was, I don't know, just giving a lot of itchy. So I think that will be all for now. I don't know if anybody have any question and you want to come on board. But she has done so much for us, and she has also given us access to her. So now you know that there's someone called a career advisor. This is a consultant that you can reach instead of being confused. You are going to ask your friends, you are going to ask anybody that, at the end of the day, even you'll be worse than before asking them those questions. So right now we have someone, those of you in this community, invite your friends, let others know so that they can have us. Although when they will come, though, they would have to, they may not have it for free, but so much wisdom, so much value has been dished out. And I believe that for those undergraduates, you will have clarity. For those who are aspirants, you already have clarity. For those also who just finished uni, because I'm seeing the midst of us here, you also would have clarity. And most importantly, she has given us access to her, and we cannot be, we are so much grateful for this opportunity. Thank you so much once again, Mama. Thank you for your time. Thank you for doing this for us. We are so, so grateful. Thank you so
Always a
much,
pleasure.
Ma. Thank you very, very much. Yeah, so
Always
this will be all for tonight. If you have any more questions, you can send it to my DM, or yeah, reach out to her, whatever way we're going to have access to her, because yeah, she has promised us um a section, and we'll have that. So please, we're supposed to continue, but we're going to be ending this section, and we're going to be attaching photo and flyer to it, so that those coming can access this particular section easily. And for that reason, we'll go off and we'll come back again. But then I'm going to send a message to the participant group um before we come live again. All right. So thank you, everyone. Please know we are not done. No, we are not done. We'll be coming live again, but we'll just have to end it so it is easily accessible to others. Thank you so much, Mama. God bless you.
pleasure.
God bless you.
Thank,
Thank you, Mama. Thank
thank you.
you.
Bye. Enjoy the rest of
Right.
your
Bye,
program.
everyone.
Bye.
Yes, Ma. Thank you.